Yo guys, what is up? It's the end of 2017 and this year was a rough year for MMA. This was undoubtedly the year of the money fight, with a bunch of titles in the UFC held up and divisions stopped because champions were looking for the fights that would pay the most. A lot of divisions were stagnant and unable to move, but with Conor saying that he's on his way back to the octagon, GSP taking another leave but relinquishing the belt before leaving, and Michael Bisping losing the title, it looks like 2018 is getting back on track and giving MMA fans the fights that they actually want. Now before I start, this is my own personal list. It's okay if you have your own list, but this is my list, not yours. And don't cry if your fighter didn't show up on this list. And if they didn't show up on the list, they probably didn't deserve it. Some loose criteria I have when making this list was how well the fighter performed in 2017, the accomplishments they had in 2017, and how much attention they brought onto themselves and putting themselves into the public. So without further ado, here are my top 10 fighters of 2017. Psych! First, I gotta start with some dishonorable mentions. These are the fighters that had a terrible 2017, and going into 2018, their futures are uncertain. BJ Penn came back after a 3-year hiatus just to get knocked out by Yair Rodriguez. BJ Penn's MMA career had already been winding down since 2010 after he lost to Frankie Edgar twice. So coming back 7 years later on a 3-lose streak was a very questionable decision by BJ Penn. But his whole career, he's been surrounded by yes men saying that he can do anything. So I can see why he came back. And he ended the year losing to Dennis Siver, who is now just a journeyman. Hopefully he doesn't come back in 2018. Anderson Silva was a fighter that had his name thrown around in who is the GOAT of MMA so many times they would make your head spin. But after getting caught doping for a second time, a lot of his legacy has now been tarnished. And even if you think about it, he had a fight earlier this year with Derek Bronson where he won by a very controversial decision, with most MMA outlets saying that Derek Bronson should have won that fight. If you put that into retrospect, that means he hasn't won a fight since 2013, with a record of 0 wins, 5 losses, and 1 no contest. Now the fighter who took the biggest L of 2017 is without a doubt Jon Jones. Ever since 2015, this guy cannot get his life straight and cannot catch a break. Fans of MMA had to wait 1 year for him and DC to have their coveted rematch. There was a lot of questions coming into this fight. DC was older now and he had been through a war with Alexander Gustafsson. Jon Jones had looked mediocre at best against OSP, but all questions were answered when Jon Jones dominated DC to earn a 3rd round KO by head kick. Less than a month later though, Jon Jones was flagged for another doping violation and he was stripped of his title, and his win over DC was turned to a no contest. His career was put on hold and the argument of him being the greatest ever was thrown out. Hopefully this guy can get his life back together and we can see him make another title run. Alright, now to actually start this list. Number 10, we got the UFC champ and the man who started the money fight trend, Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor makes it on this list because he's the fighter making the biggest money moves and started the money fight trend of 2017. A lot of people have gotten tired and irritated with seemingly every fighter trying to have a money fight, but nobody pulled it off the same effect as Conor McGregor, challenging TBE Money Mayweather to a boxing match, which became the 2nd largest pay-per-view bout of all time, with both men taking over $100 million. Money fights may have been the worst trend of 2017, but people forget that fighting is not only a combat sport but entertainment business, and Conor McGregor managed to make it all work. Coming in at the number 9 spot is Francis Ngannou. Francis is the only heavyweight to make it on this list, and the reason being is that he's the heavyweight that made the most noise in 2017. Francis raised through the heavyweight ranks, knocking out Andrei Arlovski and Alistair Overeem, lining himself up for a title shot against Stipe Miocic at the beginning of the new year in January. He has knockout power, he looks like a superhero, has a rags to riches story, and he has the quote-unquote hardest punch in the world. Now a lot of people are hopping onto the Ngannou hype train, and I have my doubts about him, but there's undoubtedly no other heavyweight of 2017 that had more accomplishments and made more noise than Francis Ngannou. I'm excited to see what he's going to bring in 2018. Coming in at number 8 is Darren Till. Darren Till is the welterweight with the most hype behind him after his domination of Donald Cerrone. It seems like every time somebody comes into the UFC with a karate style of fighting, they make a big impact. From Conor McGregor to Lyoto Machida and Stephen Thompson and now Darren Till, these karate style fighters make a big splash in the UFC. Darren Till finished off this year with 3-0 record, capped it all off with a big win over Donald Cerrone. After this fight, a lot of people were calling for a title fight against Tyron Woodley, saying that he has a better chance against Tyron Woodley than most fighters in the welterweight division, which is just amazing, considering that Darren Till only has 1 victory against a ranked opponent. But still, I can't deny that this guy has a lot of hype behind him, and I can't wait to see what he has for 2018. Coming in at the number 7 spot is Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier was riding a 4-win streak at lightweight before getting knocked out at the end of 2016 by Michael Johnson. He came back with a vengeance in 2017. He started his year with a decision victory over Jim Miller, which earned him the Fight of the Night reward. He then challenged Eddie Alvarez and was leading on most people's scorecards before the fight ended with a legal knee by Eddie Alvarez to Dustin's head. Now this fight could have been easily ruled a DQ win for Dustin, but Herb Dean decided to make it a no contest. Dustin then ended the year dominating Anthony Pettis for another Fight of the Night performance. Dustin Poirier has now placed himself within arm's reach of a title shot, and he's come a long way from the brawler that we've seen in featherweight who looked so stunned and scared facing Conor McGregor. Also, I'm liking his new look. Before, this guy looked like a straight up skinhead neo-Nazi, but now he actually looks like some handsome dude, and I can't wait to see what he has for 2018. Coming in at my number 6 spot is the flyweight GOAT Demetrius Johnson. Demetrius Johnson only fought twice this year, but dominated both his opponents, Wilson Reyes and Ray Borg, finishing both. And for a weight class where a lot of people are hating on because there's not that many finishes, this earns DJ extra points. DJ is out here proving everyone wrong, and on his last fight, DJ dominated Ray Borg en route to pulling off a one-in-a-lifetime finish, suplexing Ray and in mid-air caught him and armbarred him. That's just a finish you don't see every day. And not only that, but he beat GSP's record of most consecutive title defenses in the UFC. That alone places him on the list. But DJ still continues to dominate, and I hope he has a good year in 2018. Now for the big boys, top 5. And the start of the top 5 is Rafael Dos Anjos. Rafael Dos Anjos had an amazing year in 2017. After losing a title bout to Eddie Alvarez and then losing to Tony Ferguson in 2016, RDA decided that it was time to switch things up, and he took a big risk moving up to welterweight, where he gives up a reach and height advantage to most welterweights. But RDA didn't care, and he ran through 3 legit welterweights in 2017. He began his welterweight run against the always game Tarek Safdie. He then finished a top-ranked opponent in Neil Magny within 1 round and ended the year by putting on one of the best performances of the year, defeating legit top 5 welterweight in a title eliminator bout, Robbie Lawler. Now, the run through that RDA made at lightweight, going through Ben Henderson, Nate Diaz, Anthony Pettis, and Don Cerrone at lightweight, is already probably the greatest win streak at lightweight possible, and now he's building a solid streak at welterweight, and in this fan's eyes, solidified himself as one of the greatest to ever grace the game. I can't wait for him to challenge Tyron Woodley or Stephen Thompson or any top 3 welterweight going into 2018. Coming in at the number 4 spot is the only female fighter to make the list, and that is Rose Namajunas. Rose Namajunas started this year by defeating the karate hottie Michelle Watterson, which lined her up for the strawweight championship. Coming into this fight, everyone thought that Rose was just another victim for Joanna Champion to run through, and everyone's already calling Joanna Champion the greatest female fighter that ever graced the sport. But it only took Rose under 3 minutes to have everything crumbling around Joanna. Rose Namajunas is one of the fighters that I've watched go under an extreme transformation from her first title loss to Carla Esparza to now. Long gone are the days of her running in wild with flying sidekicks. Now it's the methodical, in and out, feinting, faking, technical striking that is Rose Namajunas. I'm really excited for Rose. I can't wait to see her rubber match with Tetsia Torres in 2018. Coming in at the number 3 spot is the Hawaiian native himself, Max Holloway. Next to Demetrius Johnson, Max Holloway has the longest win streak in the UFC right now, coming in at 12 victories in a row. Now, Max Holloway has had to play the backseat in the featherweight division ever since he lost to Conor McGregor. And while Conor McGregor is pushed into the featherweight title shot and had the title on lockdown for almost a year without defending it, Max Holloway was building up a rap sheet of victims with names including Ricardo Lamas and Anthony Pettis, which all accumulated to the title fight of 2017 with the greatest featherweight of all time, Jose Aldo. And Max Holloway dominated Aldo. Now, the difference between the Aldo loss to McGregor and the Aldo loss to Max Holloway is that against McGregor, the fight ended so quick, we didn't know what game plan they were going in with or what adjustments they could make during the fight. But Max Holloway dominated Jose Aldo. He beat him from pillar to post, and not only once, but twice. Max would have definitely made it to second place on this list if he had fought Frankie Edgar instead of Jose Aldo, as Jose Aldo came in looking the exact same in both bouts. Frankie Edgar is an all-time great, defeating top fighters in lightweight and featherweight, and defeating Frankie Edgar would have added another all-time great to Max Holloway's victim list. Going into 2018, Max Holloway has a lineup of challenges waiting for him, from Frankie Edgar to Brian Ortega and possibly a rematch with Conor McGregor. Let's see if Max Holloway can continue his amazing win streak into 2018. Coming in at the number 2 spot is the middleweight champion Robert Whittaker. Robert is the best middleweight and to me the best pound-for-pound fighter right now in the world. Robert Whittaker, since making the change from welterweight to middleweight, has gone on a murderous row of victims, dominating every single one of his opponents toward the title. From Uriah Hall, Derek Brunson, Ronaldo Souza, and the soldier of God himself, Yoel Romero, they were all victims to Bobby Knuckles. All of these fighters, besides Uriah Hall, should have been fighters that Bisping had to defend the title against, but instead opted for the money fight against GSP. Robert's performance against Ronaldo was an amazing display, staying away from a heavy hitter and avoiding the takedowns from the best grappler in the middleweight division, and his fight against Yoel Romero showed why he's one of the best in the world. After defeating the monster that is Romero, Robert Whittaker was stuck with the middleweight interim title waiting to face GSP. Robert fought like a champion this year, fought top of the crop like a champion this year, and at the end of the year, everything lined up for him because the middleweight champion GSP relinquished his title after taking another hiatus. Another amazing year for another amazing fighter, Bobby Knuckles. Coming in at the #1 spot for best MMA fighter of 2017 is George St Pierre. Now this man is quite possibly the GOAT of MMA, and GSP's return was something magical. GSP left the sport 4 years ago off a win a lot of people thought he didn't deserve. His fight with Johnny Hendricks had a lot of people saying he had lost his edge and the fight game was passing him. He left and the welterweight division got very interesting. Tyron Woodley, Robbie Lawler, Johnny Hendricks, Stephen Thompson, Darren Till, Hector Lombard, Kevin Gastelum, Damian Maia, Jorge Masvidal, and Rory McDonald. Any one of these men could challenge for the welterweight title and win it. In the end, it was Johnny Hendricks who held it first, then Robbie Lawler, and now Tyron Woodley. In between all this craziness, rumors of GSP coming back were thrown in and thrown out. And after 4 years, he finally came back, and it was in a different weight class, and he got an instant title shot. GSP faced the Count Michael Bisping on the greatest card of this year, and the build-up was amazing. Michael Bisping did his job talking out the fight while GSP played his usual nice guy act. There's so many questions coming in this fight. Can GSP compete with a middleweight? How would the ring rust affect him? Will he fight for welterweight again? Is a money fight with Conor McGregor on the horizon? But when the bell rung and the two met in the center of the ring, it was like GSP never lost his step. His speed and technique did not drop off. GSP finished Michael Bisping with a rear naked choke. The man who had been mocked his whole career for playing it safe and not finishing any of his title challenges ended up defeating the middleweight champion and becoming one of the only 4 people to become a 2-division champion. Now, at the end of the year, a lot of questions were whether or not GSP would defend the middleweight title or go for a welterweight title. But he came down with a serious case of colitis, and he did the most humble thing a champion could do. He relinquished his title so he didn't tie up the rest of the middleweight division. GSP is the 2017 MMA Fighter of the Year. So that's going to conclude this week's video. Thanks for watching to the end, and I appreciate it so much. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thumbs up if you did. Let's try to get this video to 10 likes, set up some big goals, and leave a comment below on your top 10 fighters of 2017. I read all the comments and I love getting engaged with you guys. I love talking to the community. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe for more brilliant material like this. And make sure to follow me on all my social media. Twitter is Patrick_Pajda, Instagram is PatPatchFit, Snapchat is PattyPatch, and you can even email me at patpatchfight@gmail.com if you want, and ask me any question you have about the fight game. Alright everybody, I'll see you in 2018. Hope you had a great Merry Christmas. Hope you didn't get any fights in Boxing Day, and I'll see you guys in the new year.